That was so beautiful. Thank you, Voce, and thank you, Janice. And what a group, what a beautiful group of souls to come together and do that for us. I was really touched by an article I read yesterday about a couple who's is the longest married couple on the planet. They live in Ecuador, and they've been married for 79 years. And what's more incredible is the husband is 110 and the wife is 105 years old. And it was so sweet to see them cuddling up together. There was a picture of them with the story, and they just celebrated their anniversary. And I was just comparing, my husband Kevin and I just celebrated our anniversary on Friday, 11 years. We've got 68 more to go to get to that point, and I don't know that we're going to make it that far, just because we're not that young. But, great relationships can really help you see the light. The person you're in a relationship with can help you see the light in yourself when you can't see it. They can point out the good in you when you can't see it in yourself. And that's what great relationships do. I know that's what Kevin and I are able to do for each other a lot of the times, not all the time, but it's something that Arun Gandhi, grandson of Mahatma Gandhi, had that kind of relationship with his grandfather, where they were so close and saw the good in each other, saw that light in each other, and let that light shine, reminded him of it. We're working with the book, The Gift of Anger, by Arun Gandhi, grandson to Mahatma Gandhi. And when he was 12 to 14 years old, he went to India and stayed in the ashram with his grandfather and learned a lot from his grandfather in those 2 years, who actually was killed just weeks after he left there. But one of the stories in this week that I'm looking at, chapter 4, which is about knowing your own worth, is about Arun when he was there, living there, and his grandfather, who knew the value of money but chose to live a simple life, knew that he had to have money to do his work. And so one of the things that he sold was his autograph. And many people wanted his autograph, and he sold it for 5 rupees. And so one of Arun's duties when he was living with his grandfather was to collect the books that would be autographed and give them to his grandfather to sign them. And Arun decided that he wanted an autograph from his grandfather too, but he didn't have any money. He didn't have 5 rupees. So he tried to slip in a book unnoticed, without any money, but he couldn't pull the wool over his grandfather's eyes. He said, "Arun, what is this book here? No money, no rupees. I can't sign this book." And Arun said, "Well, that's mine, grandfather." And he said, "I'm not going to sign this book. Where's your money?" He said, "You know I have no money." And his grandfather said, "Well, I'm not going to sign that. We have determined my autograph is worth 5 rupees, and that means it's worth 5 rupees to everyone, including you." And he said, "But I'm your grandson. I should get special treatment." And Mahatma Gandhi said, "No, you should not. Not when we have determined the worth of my autograph." And so they decided it was going to be a challenge between the two of them. Arun decided, "You'll give me your autograph for free. Just wait and see." And Mahatma Gandhi said, "I will not. We will see." And so Arun tried many ways to try to trick his grandfather into giving him that autograph, including barging in on him when he was meeting with diplomats or heads of state, and putting in papers with a group of papers for him to sign, trying to slip in a book for him to sign as well. And Mahatma Gandhi would have none of it. But when Arun would interrupt his grandfather in these important meetings he would just be very patient with him. "Yes, Arun, what is it?" "Well, we need this," or "I need your autograph," or "I need that." And "No, Arun, you're not getting my autograph without the 5 rupees. And Arun soon learned that he was not going to get that autograph. And he learned what the lesson was about. He learned that it was about, you set a value and you don't back down from that. You have a worth, and that is worth, it's got value. And so Arun finally gave up on getting an autograph for free. His grandfather did write Pabu on one of the things, and Arun said, that's not good enough. He goes, well, that's all you're going to get for free, because you're my grandson. I'll give you that. It was a battle of the wills. But he got the lesson that Gandhi was worthy. He knew his worth. He would meet with heads of states and diplomats and kings, all dressed in their finery and jewels and crowns, and Gandhi wearing a loincloth. And Arun at first was embarrassed for his grandfather that he would be meeting these important people dressed in a loincloth. But he came to realize that Gandhi didn't need finery, didn't need heavy cloaks, crowns, or jewels to determine his worth. He knew his worth. And soon Arun thought that the other ones looked a bit ridiculous in all their finery. We need to know our worth. All of us are worthy way more than we give ourselves credit for, way more valuable. Do you know your worth? Do you know how valuable you are? If you do, write it in the chat box. It's not to boast. It's to know, to stand in that power of knowing that you have a light within you that is wanting to shine. It's knowing that you are valuable. And each of us is valuable. But we don't always see it. There was a young man that walked into the shop of an old wise man. He walked in complaining to the old man that nobody values me. Everybody thinks I'm a failure, and they think I'm worthless. Will you help me? I need to find my worth. And the old wise man said, I'm in the middle of something right now. I can't do it. And the young man thought, well, here's another person not willing to show me my worth. The old man looked at the young man and said, you know, I am in the middle of something, but if you will help me with my project, then I will help you after we're done. And so the young man reluctantly agreed. The old wise man took a ring off his finger. It had a gemstone in it, and he said, I need to pay a debt, to settle a debt. I would like you to take this ring and go to the marketplace and try to sell this ring so that I can pay off my debt. But don't take any less than 1 gold coin for the ring. You can take my horse and just go into the market. And so the young man did. He got on his horse and went to the marketplace and tried to talk to many people about the ring, and he showed it to many people, and everyone that looked at the ring said, I could give you a silver coin for it, I could give you a copper coin for it, but nobody would offer him a gold coin. He talked to hundreds of people at the marketplace and went home feeling, again, a failure, feeling discouraged, feeling worthless because he wasn't able to sell the ring for at least 1 gold coin. He brought the coin to the old man and told him, everybody says that this ring is not worth 1 gold coin. The old man said, we need to go to the creator of the ring. We need to go to a jeweler who can give us a true value of this ring. So I want you, young man, to go to this jeweler and ask him the worth of the ring, but don't sell the ring. Just bring it back to me and tell me what he says. So the young man goes off and goes to the jeweler. And the jeweler takes out his scope and he's examining the ring. And he says, I can give you 58 gold coins for it today, but if you could wait a couple days, I could get it to 70 gold coins. The young man was shocked. So he did not sell the ring, but he took it back to the old wise man and told him what the jeweler had told him. And the old wise man said to him, you see, you took it to an expert. You took it to its source. You took it to its creator who knew the value of that ring, who knew it was worth way more than anyone else had thought it was worth. And that's what happens when we go to the outside world for validation, for determining our worth. We need to go to the source. We need to go to the expert. And where is that? But inside us. Inside where our light shines. Inside is that spiritual, divine essence that knows our worth. The world will never value us like God will. Hafiz of Persia is a Sufi poet in the 14th century. He said this, "I wish I could show you, when you are lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being." Do you know the astonishing light of your own being? Do you know how valuable and brilliant you are? Many of us don't. Many of us need reminders of that. A couple weeks ago, Marianne Lawler is one of our volunteers in the Youth and Family Ministry program, and she sent an article to Christopher, who's the director of the YFM program. He sent it to me, and it's an article about the song, "This Little Light of Mine." Of course, our beautiful music team sang it this morning for us, "This Little Light of Mine." We often think of it as a children's song. And it's attributed to Harry Dixon Lowes in the 1920s, a white man. Not sure if he really wrote it or not. There's some discrepancy on that. But he wrote it, but it has become really a song for the civil rights movement. It was used frequently in the 50s and 60s. There was one quartet called the Freedom Singers who used to sing it at their Baptist church, black group of singers, who said, you can't just sing it and you can't just say it. You have to belt it out when you're singing "This Little Light of Mine." You have to know it to be true. You have to know those words are so true, that there is a light in you. There is that brightness in you. And this song has become the song of the oppressed. It's become the song of the marginalized. It's become a song supposedly written by a white man that is a song for black people, especially in this time. It's a song of inner power and courage and freedom, that no matter what's going on, it can help calm us, it can unify us, it can help us see what is real, what is true, that we have this light inside of us. It's so powerful. Last year in Charlottesville, Virginia, there was a protest going on, a peaceful protest, and then some other groups of people showed up and counter-protesting them, and it could have gotten ugly. But the leaders of the protest decided to start singing "This Little Light of Mine." And it spread throughout, and everybody started singing. And the song settled the tension. It ended up being completely peaceful protest. It was uplifting and encouraging and game-changing. This song is transformational for people, and there are many, many varieties of this song out there. You could Google it and listen to many different versions of this song. But you can't help but feel good. We need to get to know that light inside and let it shine. Jesus says in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14 to 16, "You are the light of the world. A city built on a hilltop cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." I love this phrase. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. Metaphysically, that city represents our consciousness, and when it's built on a hill, when we have raised it up, when we know that we have this light within us, when we get to know that light, we can't hide it. We cannot hide our light. It's shining, and it's a beacon to others. It shows the way for everyone when we're willing to do this. It's a higher consciousness. My mentor, Reverend Russ Highland, was at the Commitment March a couple days ago in Washington, D.C. It showed pictures of this peaceful march 57 years after Martin Luther King Jr. was there saying, "I have a dream." Thousands of people were there, and my mentor wrote this, or printed this poem on his Facebook post. I'm not sure to who to attribute it to. It was part of a book. But it said, "Dear God, place a fire within me. Let me not become comfortable in my current position. Help me move. Amen." We're meant to move. We're meant to shine. We're meant to evolve. We're not meant to be hidden. Our light is not there for us. How dare we even hide it? It's a gift from God. It's spirit longing to come forth through us, as us, and it's meant to be shared. It can be really challenging to do that, to even find that light during times like this. And unity teachings, much more so than traditional Christianity, I would say, because unity says that we have to take responsibility for our own lives. That light is within us means we have to let it shine. We can't put things off and say, "Oh, it was God's will." Where is God? But in us, within us. We have to take responsibility for that light and let it shine. The Revealing Word is one of Unity's metaphysical dictionary, and it says inner light is the illumination of spirit resident in the center of every man's being. That means every man, every woman, every person, every living being on this planet has that same light within. Sometimes it's a little dusty. Sometimes it needs to be cleaned off or allowed to burn. Maybe it's being suffocated. It needs some air. You need to let that light shine. And which means it's up to us to look within and find it. It's up to us to get to know that light and bring it forth. How we experience the events of today, the events we see in our society today, and is up to us how we experience them, how we choose to be in these circumstances. We're responsible for whatever comes into our awareness. We're responsible to act, to move, to do, to be that light. On what are we focused? Where is our focus? Aristotle said, "It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light." We must focus to see it. Sometimes it's not easy to see it. It's not easy to see the mountains when they're covered with smoke or haze or clouds, to see the sun when it's covered with clouds, but it's there, just like our light is there. My intention for this week's talk was to have something fun, to have the focus be on uplifting and being fun and not so heavy. But I realized this week as I was preparing that my focus has not been on that my focus has been on the dark, has been on the dividedness of our country. That's where my focus has been. And so it's challenging to want to bring a talk when I'm not there myself. I needed to go within and find my own light. And I've been hearing that song, "This Little Light of Mine," in my head all week. And whenever I caught myself reading something that I was feeding my anger, I had to stop and think, what would joy do? Remember that movie, Inside Out, Disney animated movie about the emotions within? And joy is this light being, and she flutters around, and she's joyful and light, and she's kind of glowing. The other emotions, anger, disgust, fear, sadness. often, smaller. They would say, what would joy do? Try to do that this week. What would joy do? It feels like we're in this dark time with no end in sight. But this is the time for us to focus on the light. This is the time. This is the most important time to focus on the light. To know that there is hope. To know that God wins. Love wins. Goodness wins. Always. It always wins in the end. No matter looking back throughout history, love and God always wins. Always. We need to put that into perspective. We've been living in this time of pandemic, economic downturn, massive layoffs and unemployed, civil unrest, and a greater awareness of racial injustice. And look at that and know that it's only been 6 months for these three things that have come together. I know the racial injustice has been going on for hundreds of years. But look at the age of the earth, 4.5 billion years. The age of humans, or Homo sapiens, 6 million years. And the age of humans as we know us now, 200,000 years. Looking over the span of history, this is a short time, very short. And we're making progress. We're evolving. But evolution takes time. Transition takes time, and it can be painful to transition. When you're going through the final stages of birth, it's called transition. And that's the most painful part of birth if you don't have drugs. The transition. Bringing in this new life, bringing in this new awareness. And that's what I think we're going through right now. That we're bringing in this new awareness. The virus, who knows why the virus came here? What did it come to teach us? But we have this opportunity to slow down, to look at our lives, to determine what our priorities are, to focus on getting to know the light, getting to know that light inside, and that light inside is meant to be shared, and it's meant to shine. This will pass. As we get to know the light inside, what is outside, what is reflected outside will look different. It always does, because the outside is a reflection of what's going on in us, in our beliefs. The more we focus on the light inside, the more beauty we will see. And we can burst those bubbles of thought that keep us small. We have an outdoor patio service at 9 o'clock. Most of you that are watching probably know that. And this week, I had this great idea. I was going to have us all do something joyful. It's really hard when everyone's got a mask and sunglasses and a hat, and you can't really tell who's even out there sometimes. And I'm like, are you even awake? Are you awake there behind that camera, behind that screen? Give me an amen on the chat box and let me know if you're awake, if you're with us. But so I thought at the outdoor patio service, we would blow some bubbles. I thought, what a great way to be joyful. What would joy do? Joy would do something playful, something childlike, something to just lift your spirits. Let that light shine. And then I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning on Friday and realized we're in the middle of a pandemic. I can't ask people to take their masks off and blow bubbles. This virus is spread through aerosols and droplets, which would get right into those bubbles and go all over us. So the bubble idea was a bust. But while I was thinking about the bubbles, and I was going down chasing a lot of squirrels, as they say, and looking at different articles about bubbles. If you ever really look at a bubble, it's got all these beautiful colors. It's a real mixture of beautiful colors, which is a lot like our world. mixture of beautiful colors, mixture of different viewpoints. The diversity on our planet is amazing, and we can choose to see it as a thing of beauty. It's our choice. And I learned that that the light that is reflected from inside the bubble actually travels farther than the outside. Isn't that true with us? The light that comes from inside of us has a much greater reach than anything on the outside of us. That light shines brightly and travels and reaches and says, this way, this way. It's a beautiful thing. So I handed out the bubbles to bring home for people to do in their own yards in a safe way. And they were just a little bottle of bubbles with a very small wand to remind us that start small. If you're not seeing that light, start small. Spend a little time. Get to know that light. How do we do that? We get to know it by spending time with it, just like anyone else we would want to get to know. We spend time with it. Spend time in the silence. Spend time in contemplation. Spend time journaling and in meditation. And spend time knowing your brilliance, your radiance, and then letting it shine. Letting it shine for everyone to see. Just a small flame can light a whole room. Your flame can light a whole room, a whole community. These beautiful flames that I see sitting here, our singers and our people working here to help our service get to you via YouTube and Facebook today. So grateful. A small amount of awareness of your divine essence is all it takes. And as you start to know it, start to get to know it, you gain more confidence. You stand taller. You shine brighter. I read an article that called that Godfidence. 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 That's what it is. Godfidence. Confidence. Godfidence. So do you know that light inside of you? Are you willing to spend some time with it? If you are, write yes in the chat box. Let everybody know, yes, I'm willing to spend some time. I'm willing to gain some Godfidence. And what lights you up? What lights you up is that whatever it is, it's spirit longing to come forth, spirit longing to burst forth and shine brightly. That dream, that excitement is within you, wanting to move through you and as you. And once we can know our light, then we can know that that light is in everyone, every living being, no matter race, no matter gender, no matter sexual orientation, no matter political preferences. That same light is in each of us. It's there. In the 7th century, there was a boat of refugees that landed on the coast of India. The leader of the refugees went to the king of India and said, "My people would like to be part of your community. We need a place to live." And the king said, "No. You see how full of water my glass is? There's no more room. There's no room for more water, and there's no room for more people in my country." And the leader of the refugees took a teaspoon of sugar, put it in the water, and stirred it up. And as the sugar dissolved, the leader of the refugees said, "Just as the sugar dissolved in your full glass of water, so will my people dissolve into your community and provide a sweetness that you've never known." I love that story because there's a sweetness that each of us provides when we know our light, when we let our light shine, when we allow others to shine as well. When we get to know the light inside of ourselves, we can see that everyone brings a sweetness. Everyone has a value. And so let us move into a time of meditation right now. I invite you to take that deep breath. Feel yourself centered in, settle in, even a little more. Gently close your eyes. And listen to these words from Martha Smock, Unity minister, who wrote a piece called Listen to the Christ. Listen to the voice of Christ that says, from the book of John, chapter 15, verse 16, "You did not choose me, but I chose you." You did not choose me, but I chose you. Whenever you think that you are unimportant, unneeded, remember this. You are here by divine appointment. You are an important part of God's plan, of God's creation. You have your unique role to fill. What have you been chosen to do? You have been chosen to give expression to God, to the Christ qualities. You have been chosen to be a part of the flow of life. You have been chosen to contribute to the good, the happiness, the well-being of the world. You have been chosen to express your particular abilities and talents. You have been chosen to be a light in the world. So I invite you to hold in your mind those words from Jesus, "I am the light of the world." I am the light of the world. As we enter a time of stillness.